What's going on, Jerome's? So the talk of training camp is usually less about the stars. It's about the guys bottom of the rooster looking to make their name, make the practice squad, maybe even make the 53. Those are the storylines I'm always interested in, and I feel like fans in general are as well. And also, putting out who's going to be the of Egan. Mr. Mankato. So basically a fringe roster, usually lowly drafted or undrafted guy, rising up, exceeding expectations. And there's a trio of guys that could fit that bill this year. Undrafted free agents, edge rusher Gabriel Murphy, cornerback Dwight McGlothern, who has a nickname, which we'll get to. And then 7th round defensive tackle Levi Drake Rodriguez. And Brian Flores, feeding the local media jackals on Saturday ahead of practice number 9, was asked extensively and talked quite a bit about all three of these dudes and some interesting stuff. So first up, Gabriel Murphy had a number of Murphy questions, praised his versatility, high football IQ, and he had a great line coming out of the edge rusher room. Quote, Gabe Murphy despises bad football. Which I kind of love, man, because the whole thing about being a perfectionist, loving the technique, really getting into everything, and just wanting to, it's less about results and more about process. That's something that's repeated ad nauseum in sports and the Vikings specifically, but it's true. It really is true. So I think that Gabriel Murphy's going to surprise a lot of people. I think that he's probably a lock for the 53, and I think that he's a guy that could contribute early as a situational pass rusher. I think that Murphy and Turner, I think long-term that's going to be kind of nice. Also, they got into tape evaluation versus seeing a player in person. So we talked about how basically it's why instead of just watching tape and then making your decisions, like you see coaches, GM, scouts, and even position coaches and coordinators travel around all the time to these pro days. They want to see the player in person. They want to see how he looks in person. They want to see how he reacts on the field. They want to see how he looks after a good rep, after a bad rep, how he interacts with his teams, with his players, with his coaches, with everything, right? So that's what matters. And I forgot who said it. It wasn't Spielman. Actually, it might have been Spielman. But talking about how you can scout the player all that you want, but you'll know if the player can play within the first hour of practice. All right, we're talking about practice, man. So first, like rookie camp or OTA, and then you see him on the tape against other NFL caliber players, and you can tell like right away if they have it or if they don't. Which is kind of telling, man. Is that kind of like Isn't that kind of crazy? It's like a fixer-upper, and then they reveal the house, or move that bus. What show was that? Extreme Makeover Home Edition? Yeah, where you just don't know, and then you know. And then talked about Levi Drake Rodriguez. Apparently LDR's family was in town at practice yesterday. Flores talked to them for about 10-15 minutes. Got some great stories about LDR's childhood. But picked up the playbook, quick energy, athlete. Also, they're working on which role fits him best. So right now he's working at some 5-tech and 3-tech and working through things there. But, talked about how you could tell from like Levi Drake Rodriguez got his work ethic from his family and, just good salt of the earth people. And I do think that he's going to be a guy that's going to contribute. Probably early, probably often for the Vikings. All heart and all hustle. Love it, man. It's going to be fantastic. And then Dwight McGlothern. So, a reporter, I think it was Lindsay, she asked Flores about Dwight McGlothern. And the flow was like, no. No one calls him Dwight. His nickname is Nudie. And I look up the spelling. It's not like noodles, N-O-O-D. It's N-U-D-I-E, how you would think. It's even his Twitter handle. But he was asked about the genesis of the nickname, and the floor was like, I don't know. Didn't ask. It's funny, man, because so Flores, gets this reputation for being a hard ass. And he certainly has that too. Like, born and raised in Brooklyn, and definitely goes hard like that. But Flores is straight up funny, man. I feel like once he acclimated himself here, he's starting to show a little bit more of himself, and it's actually really funny, man. But McGlothern praised length, hard work, wants to do it right, and I think that, again, the Vikings are going to have a huge opportunity in that cornerback room. The hell is that? Vikings have a huge opportunity in that cornerback room, and McGlothern has had some really nice reps so far with the twos, a little bit with the ones, and I think that he's a guy that can rise up, especially with a strong preseason, and potentially make that rooster. Then talked about the shift from more zone in 2023. Vikings were one of the heaviest zone teams in the league to more man in 2024. Flores even talked about that in the offseason, wanted to be more press man across the board. Chalked it up self-scouting in the offseason, but also being able to switch things up. It seems like they played more zone last year out of necessity, and this year hopefully they can play more press man. Gives them some flexibility, as well as changes up what the offenses on the other team are going to see. And then talked about how the Vikings have been able to hit on a number of UDFAs as of late, and he talked about how it's more. Sometimes a player doesn't end up in the right scheme or coaching fit, and sometimes you have very talented players just sort of fall through the cracks. And also, I do think that the measurables and the metrics do have something like that. So, like Ivan Pace Jr. undersized, Dwight McGlothern slow by NFL standards, Gabriel Murphy obviously undersized as well, but it's okay. Hey, we'll certainly take all of that. Plus, he talked about how. He's asked about how he could use Josh Metellus more, and he's like, got an hour. I actually think that Metellus might be Flores' favorite player. Talked about playing him more in man coverage, playing him. Well, he was joking, but he said, hey, how about we play Josh Metellus at the nose? I wouldn't put it past him. Like, I feel like he might do it just to do it. Well, like some sort of sub package just so Josh Metellus can get credit for a nose tackle snap on like PFF. That would actually be really, really funny, man. And then talked about how training camp is about experimenting. So, like, everything's not set in stone. And obviously, there are some looks and some personnel groupings and some various things that you'll see on practice one day and you won't ever see again. Like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So, that's something to keep in mind, where it isn't just like, this is the playbook, this is everything, right? Yeah. Also, you talked about how Flores talked about how it's not my defense, it's their defense. Talk about the players. I love that attitude. It's fantastic. Love Coach Flores, and also definitely love some of these young guys rising on up and looking to contribute on this defense, man. But your thoughts are thoughts. Flores press conference head of Vikings practice number 9 on Saturday. Let us know. Comment section. You guys know what to do. Skull production value.